Greetings and welcome back to the channel. Today we have this 2008 Jeep Liberty, and it has all kinds of issues. It's a no crank, no start, and there's no power on anything, any accessories on the inside of the vehicle, in the cab. Nothing's working. The dash isn't lit up, won't go into gear. Basically, we've lost complete electrical to, as far as I can tell, all systems. So let's get started and see what we find. Also, just like to note that there's his first complaint. This all started when his key fob stopped working. The key fob stopped working, and then a couple days later, the power door lock stopped working, and came out the next day, and nothing. The whole vehicle just is dead. No power to anything. So let's get started. Okay, so I took the little cap off of the fuse block so we could see it easier. Looks like that M31, let's see, where is it? That's going to be right there. Got my test light hooked up to the negative battery terminal, so we're just going to make sure there's power coming out of both sides of this fuse, which would be that guy. Power. Okay, M27. Let's see here. Ignition switch. There we go, 10 amp. And that is going to be is here. Okay, it's gonna be this bottom one here that looks like it's all, you can see that it's like cockeyed. It's not seated in there very well. We got power on that side, so the fuse is working. So that is the direct line to the ignition switch, I believe. This is actually where it grounds, the ignition switch. I believe, according to the diagram, left side of under dash. So either way, there is a ground right there. We know that. So I'm gonna hook my test light up there. I'm gonna back probe up there and see if we got. Okay. We are on the blue red wire light. Now move it over. So be careful when you're back probing. You don't want to cross the pins or anything like that. Now, I was having trouble back probing it. Somebody took the insulation off the back of this connector here, but that makes it, I just unplugged it, so that we got power on that blue red wire. Let's check this red white wire. Be this. This is incredibly difficult with one hand. Let's see here. It's going to be there. No. Okay, so there's that pink white wire. We do have power. I'm just intermittently losing contact. But so we got power coming off that wire. That wire is that the immobilizer or sentry circuit. Okay, so I just put my red lead on the blue red wire and the black lead ground on the ground wire. Now that is battery voltage, so we have power and ground at the switch. I forgot to mention, this guy has gone through, I guess he said in the last I guess 4 years, he's gone through like 4 ignition switches. So that's a possibility too. So that pink white wire that we were getting power out of through the switch in the on position, that wire runs back to the TIPM, to the run start relay, and it powers a multitude of fuses for the modules, for starter operation, for a whole bunch of stuff. So rather than digging through there and trying to find that wire and that pin, we're gonna look at the fuses it should be powering to get an idea if we're getting power back to this TIPM. And no, there's a bunch of relays here, but that run start relay is integrated inside of this TIPM. Of course, they put a whole bunch of relays here. And this is probably a known failure item, but they decide to make it difficult. I always like to look for any sign of rodents or whatever, squirrels, varmints. Right there, evidence. See all that crap? Looks like they made a nest. Got their little food stash in there. Well, it's like a cigarette butt. Guess what they can use to keep them warm, right? But there's our evidence. Not saying that's the issue, but let's just keep that in mind. I haven't looked at this, so taking you guys along with me for my initial inspection. I see it, more evidence down there. Let me go grab my light. Got this Icon light from Harbor Freight. Say what you want about Harbor Freight, but this is actually a very nice flashlight. It's got a super strong magnet. Got a light there, light on top, light on bottom, and it swivels. You can pretty much get this thing wherever I need it to, and I've had it about a week. It's rechargeable. It's pretty sweet. And for like 40 bucks or 50 bucks or something, it was, I mean, excellent deal. It's probably one of the nicest lights I've ever had. Let's see here. See? Got it sitting there, pointing down there. Perfect. All right. Okay, so all done with my visual inspection. Before I go any further, I'm not sure, maybe some of you are probably already aware. These anything Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge crap, those TIPMs are garbage and they're known to fail. So I want to know if there's power coming out of it. I pulled it up, the TIPM, just a little bit. Okay, you can see I kind of pulled that up, and it's kind of a mess getting down there to those wires, and there's no communication on any network. I can't, Scan Tool can't communicate with any of the modules. There is power on ground at the DLC. I do have my reference voltage at the DLC, or the can high and can low. I'll show you guys that in a bit. I'll bring my U-scope out there and just so you guys can see it. But right now I'm more focused on that TIPM. Also, I need to see if the PCM and some of these other modules are receiving that power and ground. But basically, I'm going to look at this TIPM, and I want to know if that power is coming out of the TIPM. There's a few fuses that weren't powered, and I don't know if that's a hot at all times fuse or not, so I just need to look into it further, and we'll just go from there and dig deeper. All right, so I just want to show you guys this communication line issue. So there, we've got power and ground. You can see them lit up on that breakout box. This is from the DLC. Watch the scope. I'm going to see. We got battery voltage. Key is on, engine off. Here's the can high signal. We do have a signal. Well, we don't have a signal. We have the voltage there. We also got it on the can low. So now we're gonna head out to that TIPM. So what you want to see on that communication line is little information packets indicating that there's communication between the modules. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to verify power at looked up. So let's see here, M20. Well, we need to verify there's power at M3, M5, M20, M15, and M28. Those go to the cluster and PCM. So first thing I want to do is, my mouse is being weird. I want to look at these computer data lines. So just right at the top of the bed, I saw this cluster pop right out at me, but just because we have no power at the cluster. Let's see here, is there? Well, these probably both apply, so we want to know why those modules are not communicating. So, electronics. That tells us a lot about what's going on in there. So that M3 fuse should have power on it. Let's see here, some of these other modules. See the powertrain control module. Pretty much all these modules, just, well, all of them. I was not communicating with any of them when I scanned it. So that fuse M3 is suspect. I'd like to know if there's power at that fuse. Let's go to that other diagram. Computer's been acting really weird lately. Let's see here. Yeah, see all these modules there. It's that white, orange, white, gray, can high, can low, and there's some LIN bus in here too. Down here, you can see. But yeah, none of that stuff is communicating. So we have a power or ground issue somewhere that's causing widespread havoc on this system. We just need to track it down. I like to think, what do all these things have in common? Every single one of these things has in common is the TIPM. You can see here in that other diagram, the electronics, that appears to be the power supply, that M3 fuse for the internal electronics. Those can high, can low lines. Let's see here. Yeah, so they're all tied in. They go down there. I mean, they're all. None of these modules can communicate. Nothing's gonna work. So it's kind of where we're at. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into the power distribution real quick. I'm concerned about that, the fact that the PCM especially is not communicating. So let's see here. There's probably multiple diagrams tied together. I'm just trying to get a good idea. So, sorry, just, okay, so, looks like that powertrain control module, so it's from fuse M5. And that powers that run start relay. It's like there's another fuse, the power goes from there to this M20, which would be that pink gray wire. And so that yellow blue, that'd be that start signal comes, like when you turn the ignition switch, it doesn't come from the switch itself, it goes back to the TIPM. I believe this is definitely the TIPM. Yeah, see? So it goes through that relay, or no, that, no, it comes from the PCM, it looks like, to the internal electronics. To tell you the truth, I'm not 100% sure. I have just a widespread power loss here, and back of my mind, I know it's the TIPM, but I need to find some evidence. So I'm gonna check these fuses, and then probably I'm gonna be checking for power and grounds at these modules, or just, I'm gonna see if that power is coming out of the bottom of that TIPM to where it's supposed to be. Like say on this, that pink gray wire, which would be pin 22 on that TIPM on connector C2. We wanna see if we're getting, it should be 12 volts coming out of there. Okay, so I think we're on to something here. I checked all those fuses. They all have power except for this M28 10 amp fuse right here. Wait. Sorry, that one does have power. I believe it is this M6 or M15 fuse. Let's see here. That is, yeah, it's gonna be this 20 amp right here. See, no power on either end of that fuse. Now that fuse powers, it's the power feed to the cluster and a multitude of other modules. So we do need to look into that. That's a big issue. And like I said before, those fuses, the other ones did have power, the B plus going to them, but now I need to figure out if that power is getting to these other modules like the PCM, and so we're gonna have to look in the bottom of that TIPM and see if that power is leaving the TIPM, essentially. Going from the TIPM to the module to power it up. So before I turn that TIPM upside down, I just hate to do that. If there's any crispy wires under there, and you know, I don't want to unhook the B plus. I was able to, tip it up a little bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, it's easier just to go directly to this PCM, and I got a little, I got a pin out of connector C1, and I'm going to be looking at the fuse B plus powers, the grounds, the 5-volt reference, and then there's also that pink white wire that comes from the ignition switch, goes to the ECM and runner start. So we want to see if that signal is making it there as well. So these diagrams have been fairly confusing because, but I just wanted to clarify something. The pink white wire, I believe, goes to the TIPM, then to the PCM, and that's where the PCM gets the signal. It sends that start signal, you know, when you crank the starter over to the various components that it goes through. It's a very overcomplicated system. Okay, so there's just a list I made, and I chose to get my power probe out. I know some of you are probably freaking out. Well, oh, he's using that power probe, he's gonna fry the module. Well, I'm not touching the button, so this is just a quick way to back probe it and get power and grounds and 5-volt reference. Okay, so first we got this pin 10. It's our fused B+. We got I believe that's battery voltage. It's pretty low. I might want to put a jumper on there. Here's our ground, pin 11. Let's see here, pin 12 would be our ignition output, that pink white wire. And we got a ground. So far, the only thing that looks strange is that pink white wire coming out of the ignition. All right, now we got, let's see here, another ground should be, hold on. Yeah, there you go, ground. Got that. Pin 29 should be the B+, red wire. Yep. Let's see here, 5-volt reference should be 27, and it should be a black, light green wire. Let's see here. Maybe mislabeled. Let me see here. Okay, it was hiding, so I got a ground on that 5-volt reference, but the PCM's not awake. It's not going to be making that 5-volt reference, I believe. Let's see here. Can high would be the tan and black. I believe it's going to be this one. And our can low. Let's see here. Just gotta be careful when you're back probing these. Okay. And pin 12 should be pink white. That should be ignition output. Oh wait. Yeah, we already checked that. ASD output, pin 38, brown and white. Ground. So we have all our power and grounds at the PCM. I just pulled up this TIPM a little bit and back probed that pink white wire coming out of the TIPM, and there is nothing coming out of it. So it's kind of another strike for the TIPM. We got power from the ignition to the TIPM. You can see that the fuse is lit, you know, test light lit up yesterday. So it goes through the TIPM. It's supposed to come out of the TIPM, go to the PCM. It's not working. So I'm gonna pull it up a little further, inspect that wire and the connector a little bit more. I may have to take this box out. It just, like I said, I hate doing that just because there might be another wire, you know, it's like there was evidence of rodents in here. So, I mean, there might be another wire that I wiggle or whatever, and then we create another issue. So I try to be as non-intrusive as possible. And so let's see where this takes us. We might have to take this TIPM out, take all the connectors off, and inspect it. But at this stage, I'm pretty comfortable calling this a TIPM issue. But that's a part you don't just want to throw at a car. It's pretty expensive. Labor is not that much, but the part itself is. And what happens when you put it in and you got the same issue? Well, you know, what are you going to tell your customer? Or this is your car. you'd be shit out of luck. And we don't want that, so let's verify this. So I just took this J18 fuse out to inspect it, and now the whole TIPM, all the relays are, they're clicking. Key's not in. Sounds like a low voltage situation. I need to get a jumper on this. Got a jumper on there. You know, after I reinstalled that fuse, we got lights. So I guess I shocked that TIPM back to life. Very odd. And it starts. So I'm gonna call that a bad TIPM. So the reason I took that fuse out was because that's the J13 fuse, I believe. Let me see here. Yeah, that is the J13 fuse, and that's the run or accessory fuse that it powers the relay, the run accessory relay, and that is it's built into the TIPM. The outputs for that, it's integrated fused B plus inside the TIPM, so you can't get to that. Wanted to see if there was power going to it, and you couldn't pop the top off because it was, I'll show you. So right there, it's that guy, that 60 amp fuse. You can't pop the top off that little thing. I mean, I probably could have, but I just wanted to take it out, make sure it wasn't blown, put it back in, and all of a sudden it came to life. And so that kind of indicates to me that that pin going into that TIPM is internally damaged. It's now making contact. I'd be curious, you know, take it out again, see what happens, but I'm gonna call this a bad TIPM. So that run start relay though, it sends power to the PCM, and that's why there was no power on that pink white wire coming out of that C1 connector on the TIPM. Well, actually, I did it. I was about to show you and decided to take that fuse out and then started. So that's better news than we've had in a long time. It's kind of starting to wonder what was going on here. All right, let me flip you around. So it started, it's running, letting that battery charge up a little bit, but that check engine light is on now. So hopefully before it dies again, I'll be able to get a little bit more data, see what those codes say. Okay, I apologize for this glare. This nasty ass car too. So I gotta set it somewhere. Okay. So we got faults in the WCM. I would like to note that key fob is still not working. Door locks are still not working. Central gateway, the ORC, which would be like the airbags, and then the ECM. So let's see what we have. I think we have a communication issue, or that WCM is not communicating. Okay. Battery system low, AC pressure message, AC pressure sensor. Yeah, I mean, it's not really the type of fault I'm looking for with this. Something more along the central gateway, some type of communication issue, anything that would indicate an internal TIPM failure. Ignition, run, start, control circuit over current. Well, that's that relay over current. So we'll look that up. We'll see. And the WCM. This is where his problems all started. He was unable to use his door locks, and then one day he came out. His key fob stopped working. His door lock stopped working, and then one day he came out and the car wouldn't start. Lost communication with TIPM. Well, there you go. Let's just look up those codes and we'll see. Okay, so that J13 fuse would be the ignition off draw. I'm gonna have to look at that more. Okay, there's our fuse J13. Goes over here. So we need to go to diagram 2. Let's see here. Okay, so from J13, it's going to power that starter relay, radiator fan, and this run accessory relay. And also feeds power to M28, which powers the power control module. We already had power there though. Well, actually that's connector C2. We did not have power there. We didn't. Nope, we did. Yeah, pin 10 and pin 29. That run start relay. There's where the internal electronics are, those fuse B+. And for whatever reason, us disconnecting that J13 fuse, reconnecting it, probably wiggled around a solder joint in there and woke up all these electronics. Door locks are still not working. Also, that J13 feeds power to this J18 fuse. Or J18, let's see here, where did I see that? Okay, I typed that code B219A. As you can see here, it's a TIPM. There's that ignition switch output, that pink white wire we were looking at where we didn't have power. It's all integrated into the TIPM, all the circuitry. Goes right to the powertrain control module, and that's literally all they give me. Shows you a pinout and possible causes, terminal damage or corrosion, high resistance, and the ignition switch output circuit, or the TIPM. I found so many things along the way that lead me to the TIPM. That's what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to call that a day. So I'll be recommending a TIPM to this customer, and possible further diagnostic on those door locks, but I believe that's an internal issue with the TIPM as well. But I've gone about as far as I'm going to go today. You can see it starts, it runs. That was our primary concern. Although the door lock situation, that's definitely an issue. We need to figure out if that is a just the key, or if it's that WCM module. But I want to get this TIPM in there and then go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Kind of all over the place. As you can tell, it's we were over here, we were over there, going down this rabbit hole, down that one. Best thing I suggest in this type of situation is just kind of one thing at a time, you know, check one circuit at a time, all the likely causes. Look at everything that you can see. What does it all have in common? You know, what wire does all this have in common? What powers what? And, you know, like I said, I was kind of all over the place in this video, but it was a tough one. It's difficult when you have no power to anything. You know, there's nothing's working. You know, no lights on the dash. You're not able to scan for any codes. No communication. Everything seems okay at the TIPM. You know, you got your powers up top. But I missed that one fuse, and took it out to inspect, and I kind of came across that. What kind of led me to my final diagnosis on this, just kind of by trial and error, and looking at the diagrams, looking at what powered what, that run start relay and all that integrated electronics inside of the modules made it difficult because, well, they're a pain. You can't see them, you can't get to them, you can't test them. But I hope this was helpful. Maybe some of you out there were able to fix an issue because of this, or you know, I looked on YouTube and I didn't see any videos pertaining to this particular issue. There's a lot of videos on bad TIPMs all over the place, but no power anywhere. I couldn't find one. So like, subscribe if you guys want to see more of this content. Just stay tuned and hit that bell. I'll see you next time.